What is up, ladies and gents? Noli here. Welcome to another Payday video. I'll be honest, that felt very strange. I'm a little rusty. It's been a couple of weeks since I recorded my last video, and there's a few reasons for that. Which, before I get into the obvious topic of this video, which you're seeing on screen, the Wolfpack DLC, which I'm rather excited to play as it's already released. As you can see, day 3 over there. Just to quickly run you through why it's been a little while, and why it's not the end of the world that it's taken me a little bit of time to get a video up. I think it's done me a few favours. So, first of all, I got ill, and because the illness was mainly with my throat, it made it pretty much impossible for me to make a video that was of half-decent quality. And I just didn't really feel up to it, and I think that feeling sort of flowed on through the ensuing days, and I just didn't ever really feel properly right and properly ready. I was not motivated enough to make those videos, so I didn't, and I think that was quite a sensible move. Anyway, now I am, and when the motivation's there, I think the videos come out much better. And one of the main things that motivated me was the release of some brand new content in Payday, because I thought we'd seen it all, but we're going to get a very new environment in this new DLC, and a pretty interesting way of getting your hands on it if you're a long-time fan of the game. However, for whatever reason, Overkill's changed the way they did the web page, and it seems to work through you clicking on these little points over on the side, and it's a little clunkier, I've found. Now, here we have the original trailer released on day 1 that is going to tease you one or two things. It's probably not worth watching at this point, at least not in this video. The link to, of course, the web page that we're looking at here will be in the description below, and there you can watch it yourself. They're certainly cool promotional pieces, but we basically get to know about the heists down here anyway. So, starting things off with the one on the left, and I think you can immediately tell there's some really good signs here. I really want to talk about this counterfeit heist because it's so different. But as you can see, we're getting 2 heists here, probably both one-dayers, but they're following the same formula we had in Point Break, which I actually really appreciate. I do think the extra heist gives you a little more bang for your buck in terms of just doing different things within Payday and enjoying it. Means that you get more fresh stuff as opposed to the 2-day Goat Simulator heist, for example. But I think they've been doing really well lately with making the DLCs worth the money. And Counterfeit is very exciting. Like I said, these screenshots are fantastic. It looks so wide open and expansive, and this is the very first time we've taken a heist to this sort of area. Of course, we are going for the Sunshine State, so it makes sense that we are in this sort of suburban, very sunny landscape. An individual by the name of Mr. Mitchell has the whole community fooled that he's this respectable golf coach at some fancy club. But under the surface, he's a professional money launderer and counterfeiter, and a damn good one at that. Together with his partner, Wilson, these guys are literally making millions. Now, wouldn't it be fair if we got our hands on some of that? So it looks like it's just a straight-up robbery, but I don't think it's going to go quite as simply as that, as the police are going to be called on the unsuspecting good guy, Mr. Mitchell, despite all his criminal activity, and I think it's going to make for a really awesome setting for, I assume, this loud-only heist. Same thing over here with Undercover. I do feel like we've been lacking any stealth heists recently, but you can sort of see what's going on here, and it's confusing to say the least, but I think I've sort of pieced together what is going on. Of course, you guys who've already tried out the DLC will know it was released 2-3 hours ago, something along those lines. I've only just come back in and wanted to cover this first before I release videos of the heists themselves. But anyway, we're doing things a bit differently this time in Undercover. There's this shady taxman who's out to make a $25 million deal with some big corporation, but we're going to stop it from going through. You understand? Alex is helping us out with this one, making sure that we can get our hands on this taxman and force him to give us the server and codes we're after. He might not be cooperative at first, so you'll just have to use any means necessary to convince him, right? So, not an awful lot explained there. I think this screenshot here is one of my favourites where they're shooting from the balcony. It looks so cool. And even though this is a much tighter, more focused fighting area, I think it still looks quite expansive, and it still looks like there's a lot to do and a lot of replayability and a lot you can get out of playing and completing this heist. And I also quite like the little story and idea behind what we're doing. Of course, torture is always a very controversial topic within video games. I don't think we're going to be torturing anyone to get the codes out of them at least in a normal sort of fashion. I imagine them dropping the cars here might have something to do with that, but we'll have to, or at least I will have to wait and see until I play it a little later tonight. But here is, I think, one of the most refreshing things we see about this DLC. It is free for all the owners of the Wolf Pack from Payday the Heist. Otherwise, it's going to cost you $7 or £5 for me. So standard DLC rate if you're looking at a DLC with heists in it, but this is amazing. I really, really like this. It's a throwback to those of you who loved Payday 2 that much, you wanted to buy Payday the Heist, and also bought the DLC alongside it, and also those who have been around for such a long time that they are massive players of Payday the Heist and did, of course, buy its DLC. And that's definitely who Payday should be looking to reward. I think over time, going very cheap from time to time, we've seen the player base expand massively, but also a lot of people who aren't as into the franchise as others. And this free DLC giveaway to those of you who have been around for a while or are mega fans is fantastic. So moving on to day 2, the stuff we saw yesterday, and I think this is the second most exciting part of the overall DLC, and that is, of course, the weapons. We're taking a look at the China Puff 40mm grenade launcher. Don't know why we're calling it the China Puff. It is, of course, based off the China Lake grenade launcher, I believe. And you can see how it shoots in the bottom corner. If I remember when I used this weapon in other games, it was just a sort of 2-barrel type thing. Fires 2 and then you have to reload them, but the way it's working here in the this little clip you see at the bottom seems to be a little differently. But grenade launchers, I think, are some of the unsung hero weapons in the game. They're so good without any skills at all, and on every single difficulty, for crowd control, for dealing with specials, everything like that. And I think this is definitely going to be a viable weapon once I've tried it out. So the stats are very standard. Again, concealment for grenade launchers tends to be relatively good as well when you can modify them to make them more concealable, so probably will work very similarly. Moving on, I think this is a very important thing we're mentioning here, and I've mentioned it before, and I think we have too many melee weapons. It's saturated, and they all basically do the same thing. They've been doing much better recently, to be honest, with bringing new and different melee. But this, first of all, is a very new and different melee, but it seems like it's the end of 4 melee weapons per DLC, as we have tons of melee weapons in our game, but a lot of them are similar to one another. We're taking a new approach in the Wolfpack DLC. The time and effort it takes to create 4 melee weapons, we instead put into the creation of 1. The first result of this new approach is the Pounder, Wolf's favourite nail gun, which is cool. When people ask about the name, Wolf is quick to correct it to the Punder, and as they say that, he screams, "Nailed it!" Awful. So here is the Pounder melee weapon, and it's a nail gun, alright, and it's so cool. It's got an interesting range number. I wasn't sure whether maybe we could fire these nails over distance when fully charged, but it doesn't seem like that's how it works. But it's a cool melee weapon which does great base damage with decent charge and great knockdown with decent charge. It looks like it's definitely going to be one of the more viable ones. Concealment at 27 means it can't really go into those concealment builds, but a short charge time of 2 seconds, it's definitely going to be fun to try out. And it's so different, and I'd much rather that Overkill stuck with this particular approach. Now, some of the tracks you've been hearing in the background of this video, Home Invasion and Three-Way Deal, are Simon Vickland's recent work, and they are pretty good from what I've heard for the feel that these heists are giving off, and that's absolutely fantastic. So I think the Goat Simulator music was also amazing, and I think Simon, ever since he became freelance, has actually just been doing better and better work. I personally picked up his first little release. It was fantastic for the money I spent on it. So moving on to day 3 and what we saw today, we're looking mainly at cosmetics and achievements. Almost finished, guys. You guys can get on with playing it, assuming that you're willing to buy it or you're an owner of the Wolfpack. Of course, I'm going to bring out a review or at least a first impressions video as quickly as possible so you guys do get an idea for whether it's truly worthwhile in the coming days. But these are the masks. Some interesting ones, really, really good variety. I'm a massive fan of that. I'm not going to read through each and every one of their descriptions. You guys, of course, can do that once you've unlocked them in-game. First of all, we have Hands, which is one of the stranger ones that's going to certainly be difficult to customize, I would say, but looks pretty awesome on its own. The Trickster Demon, which is very much the stock, very customizable, cool mask. The Viking, which is pretty different. Okay, we got the helmets previously, but definitely on the different side, even though I swear those horns are historically, doesn't matter. And then finally the Dragon Head. So moving on down to the patterns and materials. This pattern's intriguing me. This one's very, very different. And other than that, we're looking at sort of tribal and this, whatever this is. And then in terms of materials, I'd say this one right here is very different from things we've seen in the past. And again, this one to the right of it, which sometimes don't look good, those sort of weird, crazy patterns, but we'll have to try it out once I unlock it. I imagine both could be very interesting customization materials. We have 5 achievements for both heists, including the Death Wish one for both of them, and of course the ones to unlock the masks. And overall, from what I've read, these seem like a load of fun and do give a couple of clues to the heists themselves and exactly what you're going to be doing, but don't really see the point in doing that because right now we could be playing it, and that's exactly what I am going to do with my time tonight. As I record this video, it's just about to turn 11 PM, and I might be up till 3 in the morning, seeing just, if they're worth the money for you guys. So yeah, I'm very excited to try them out. A couple of other fixes and things over here in the changelog, not really worth running through. Other than that, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope it was reasonably informative in terms of what Overkill have told us already about the DLC. Released today, the 11th of February, Thursday as ever. Get out there, try out the update, see if the fixes have improved, but if you're very interested, pick up the Wolf Pack. Seems good so far. I'm excited, and I definitely think that Overkill have been doing a much better job of making the DLCs as time goes on worth the money. So, thanks again. See you all